Hi guys, it's Poober again, this time for episode 36 of my Factorio playthrough. We ended episode 35 with finally implementing all of my last science factories, so the blue, purple, and yellow have all been installed, but I haven't been able to turn all of them on yet. The one I'm thinking of in particular is purple science, which is where I'm at right now. Namely, the big thing we're missing is stone brick, so I'm going to work on implementing a stone brick factory today, as well as doing some last minute finishes to get everything turned on. We are starting in one of my empty squares, and just to get your bearings, let's take a look at the map here so you can see I am just below the main base area, in between the two smelter octagons, so I'm thinking this will be a perfect spot to put a stone smelter factory. What I am thinking is doing another version of the car smelting factories that I've been using for copper, iron plate, and then steel. So what I did was go into my test world and come up with a little bit of a modified design. It's not quite as big, but I don't need it to be as big. So to show you what that will look like, let's go into my inventory here and pull the blueprint out. And we'll zoom out a little bit as well. So this is how it should work. It'll just kind of take the overlay of the square here. But before I go ahead and plant it down, let me just talk about how the differences are. So the stone smelting is a little bit smaller. It's not nearly as long in every row, and I don't have as many rows as I do for copper, iron, or steel. There's actually only 10 rows for this, but that is all I should need because all I'm trying to achieve at this point is about 18,000 stone brick per minute to feed my purple science. So let's go ahead and plant this down now. I think that is overlaid appropriately, and that looks good. So there's also a couple differences I made with my stacker design. I've never done something quite like this before for this base. I wasn't able to fit the stacker how I normally would like it. So what I did was kind of loop back and forth, kind of like a snake for this train track. And then I have these signals here so that the trains will be kind of back to back to back, and then finally get to the train stop over here. Now I'll have to edit this junction a little bit. I'll have to add in one of those circular kind of T-junctions that I've been using, but I will go ahead and do that off camera, so we'll come back when this is done. Well, that actually didn't end up taking very long at all. I've even got my fuel train bringing fuel already to the station here. There are a couple things I wanted to include on camera though, for those of you that might be interested in building this factory or a car smelting design in the future. And these are some tricks that I've learned along the way just from my experience building these in the past. But I do still have to install all of the cars that will be going in, as well as the tanks that go in to act as a buffer. So I just want to demonstrate how the tanks work first of all. So the tanks go in kind of these little sections over here, almost on top of the inserters and on top of the underground belts. So all you have to do is just kind of wait for a green spot to open up, and then you just want to place it basically on top of everything and within range of all of the other inserters. So that looks good. And it's very much a trial and error type of thing, because once I get this installed and I realize that some of the inserters aren't working, that means I need to adjust or move the tank or the car for that matter. So let me just place a couple more of these, and then we'll start placing down the cars. Alright, I've placed a couple of tanks down. Now we're down to the section where the ore is going to be getting dropped off into these cars that act as a buffer. So I've got plenty on hand, and I just situate these vertically, and I do 3 basically stacked on top of each other. Again, we're looking for kind of that green spot, so that way we can place it, but we want to make sure it still has access to all of the inserters. So in this case, I want to make sure that each car has at least 2 inserters covering it. And then just rinse and repeat. Alright, now that we have those in place, we won't know for sure if they're exactly the proper position until we get ore coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and send this train to one of the stone farming areas. And we'll bring it back here. Let's see, what do I have this named? Oh, stone ore drop off. That makes sense. Alright, so that will come back with some ore, and then we'll be sure to know exactly if this is positioned correctly. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and start actually placing the cars that will be going around on the belts. So how I do it, and I suppose you don't have to do it this way, but this is the easiest way I've found it with multiple attempts, is to place the car. I place it with the head of the car pointed left, so the back of the car is pointed right. So in just this fashion, and then I always start at the very topmost kind of section of the belt. So that's where we are here. And then I just place it down. Now I want to make sure that I get at least one filter in. So I'm going to do one filter for the stone and the other filter for the actual stone brick. Oh, I have to catch up to it. And that way I'm guaranteed to have at least one stack for each product. And from there I kind of let the inventory sort itself out. So you can tell this is positioned correctly because it is able to make its way already down the center of these inserters going from top to bottom. I've incorrectly placed the cars in the past, and I could easily tell that it was incorrect because it would just get stuck up here. Now, a couple odd things to mention is that if you were to copy this blueprint or just take it from Lazen's blueprint that he had, because he's the original designer of this design, keep in mind that you do have to keep all of the electrical poles in the exact same spot that he has them, because these, oddly enough, act to kind of readjust the car to get it into the exactly correct position. So keep those exactly where they are. But at this point, it's just a matter of placing the rest of the cars. Oh, and I should actually copy the condition on this so I don't have to manually put in the conditions again. Oh, but we can see here is the first stone train that must have delivered something. So I'll have to pay closer attention to this when I get a chance, but it looks like these are all getting an opportunity to unload from the car into the car on the actual belt. So that's good. So this is kind of how it's going to be looking by the time it gets to the end of the loading station for the stone ore. Then it will be continuing along the belt line here, and you can see it starts to work pretty much immediately. It won't be picking up probably any stone brick for this cycle because there's nothing buffered at this point. But it kind of takes a couple rounds to really fully get up and running, but we should see that very shortly. In the meantime, let me go ahead and I'll finish placing down all of the cars, and I'll see you guys once that's done. And finally, after a couple of cycles, all of the cars are now evenly distributed on all of the rows of the belt line here. Again, they make their way from the ore train station over here, making their way through all of the rows back and forth, and then up here for the stone brick drop-off. At this point, the last thing we have to do in terms of the stone brick factory is to get a train to come here to pick up the product. We've already got the one over here at the purple station, which does not have a train station yet for it to go to, so we're going to go ahead and put in the stone brick pickup. And it should be here any minute to be the first train to pick up the products, and then we'll be able to see that unload at the purple station. Check it out, the first stone brick train just left the station. It's going to go pick up another round, but we can see the electric furnaces are beginning to turn on, which is fantastic. The products are going to make their way from the bottom and then work their way up into the purple assemblers. But there is one more thing I'm missing, unfortunately, and that is lubricant, which I almost nearly forgot. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't have a fluid wagon station set up for lube. Over here at my oil setup, we can see I have kind of this really crappy design for my acid, but I don't have anything to supply actual fluid wagons with lubricant at this point. So I'm going to have to come up with something before we'll actually see purple turn on. Well, I came up with a pretty crappy, but albeit temporary solution for the lube problem. I just added in a lube filling station just north of the acid pickup. So I've got a train that should be coming any minute here and start unloading, which it is. And finally, electric engines get turned on, which means purple is finally getting turned on. We'll give it a minute to warm up. I know we probably don't have enough lube to really sustain it for very long at all, which we definitely don't. Oh, but at least it works. Do we dare take a look at the production statistics? Let's do. So over the 5-second interval, we're at 2.9-ish, 3.1, 3.2. The 1 minute interval, we are only at 1,000 per minute still. So let's stick with the 5. Oh my gosh, we're up to past 4,000 per minute. Can we get to 5? I saw it hit 4.7. Come on, come on, 4.8. Oh, I don't know that we're gonna hit it. And oh my gosh, I saw 5,000 just there. Whew. I did it. I hit 5,000, albeit for just like a split second for the purple science. Oh, it is possible. So that was all I was really needing to see. Not whether I can sustain it for that long, because I know of course I can't at this point. But just the fact that I know it's at least possible, it just really eases my mind at this point. Because like I said in the last episode, at this point, knowing that these technically can work and can hit the 5,000 per minute goal that I've been having for the last like half of the playthrough means all I have to really do at this point is just increase the throughput and make sure everything is working that kind of will feed everything that goes into all of the sciences. And just like last episode, I think we'll end it here with having hit that 5,000 per minute mark, this time for Purple Science. So I hope you guys will continue to stick around. I still have so much to do for the base. We've still got to make a lab setup, so that will probably be for next episode or in one of the future streams, so I hope you'll join me for that. But for now, thank you guys as always for joining me for episode 36, and I will be seeing you soon.